My name is Gina Rivera-Garza, and this is my informative speech about 90 Day Fiancé. When it comes to finding love, people generally think that love can only be found within the country they live in, but what if it's possible to find love in another country? 90 Day Fiancé is an original reality series that is followed by several spin-offs. One in particular is 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days. The show is about Americans who establish a relationship over the internet with another individual in another country for the hopes of finding love and marriage. After the American and the foreigner grow closer, they decide to meet face to face for the first time. And by them meeting face to face for the first time, they are then faced with the many cultural differences as well as information that was withheld and the process they have to go through when and if they decide to get married. When beginning a relationship, it already is difficult because you're trying to get to know someone, their family, their friends, their lifestyle, the way they act, and their life. But this is even more difficult when you're trying to get to know someone who's thousands of miles away. And before the 90 days, the American and their partner who live in another country spend many hours on the internet trying to get to know each other. But by having a relationship over the internet, a lot of things can be withheld or sugar-coated. An example of this is from the 4th season, a couple, Jeffrey and Varia. Jeffrey and Varia seemed to know a lot about each other at the beginning of the season, but when Jeffrey traveled to Russia, he later on felt comfortable enough to share a little information about his past where he was arrested for drug dealing. By Jeffrey explaining this to Varia, Varia started withdrawing herself, which then caused her hesitation towards pursuing a relationship with Jeffrey. And by her hesitation with Jeffrey and her family and friends' opinion on him, it led for Jeffrey and Varia to go their separate ways. Despite the information being withheld from some couples, one of the biggest issues when traveling to another country and getting to know someone is the cultural differences. In America, we're allowed to freely express ourselves and show affection in public, but that's not always allowed or accepted in other countries. In a couple in the 3rd season, there were many times where cultural differences interfered with building a relationship. While there were many scenarios that showed the differences in the culture we have here in America and cultures in other countries, one couple in specific is Rebecca and Zied. Rebecca is from Georgia and Zied is from Tunisia. Tunisia is known to be a Muslim country where the rights of women are not equal to the rights that men have. And however, it does though depend what part of Tunisia you live in, that depends the rights of women. According to Alan Monica, Tunisia, despite being a majority Muslim country, is one of the most progressive countries for women. Women have many rights that are equal to men in this country and have certain liberties that aren't always allowed for Muslim women. The hijab is not required for women in Tunisia. It is a choice each woman has the opportunity to make. As far as clothing choices, the options are endless. Shoulders and knees do not need to be covered. Even though the women that live in Tunisia have more rights than men, not everyone that lives in the country respect that or want that. So by the scenario with Rebecca and Zied, one evening they decided to go out for dinner, and because it was hot outside, Rebecca decided to wear a tank top, despite Zied telling her she should wear something with sleeves. And because Rebecca is used to, in America, being allowed to do things freely without being told what we can and we cannot wear, this led to her ignoring Zied's comments to change and led to a comment by other people at dinner, which led later on to an argument and led for a fight to break out. And it's not only when American travels to another country where cultural differences are at play, it also is when a foreigner travels to America where cultural differences are shown. An example of this is a couple from the first season of 90 Days, Russ and Paola. Russ is from Oklahoma and Paola is from Colombia. In Colombia, they're allowed to express themselves more freely and more colorful, and they're allowed to express themselves. But by her traveling to Oklahoma, Russ's family is more reserved and closed-minded and conservative. This led Paola to not feel comfortable. According to a blog from World Tours Colombia, Colombian people are incredibly nice and welcoming. Nobody treated me in a bad way, and it was so easy to get along in the new city. This is relevant again because Paola felt conservative because of Russ's family not being as open-minded to her, the way she dressed, and it led to her not feeling comfortable. Finally, if the couples feel comfortable enough with one another and have gone through all the information about their past and their future plans as well as the cultural differences, it leads to the final stages of them wanting to bring the foreigner to America, which is what they would bring back on through a K-1 visa, also known as the Fiancé visa. According to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigrant Service website, if you are a U.S. citizen who wants to bring your foreign fiancé to the United States in order to get married, you would need to file a Form I-129F petition for alien fiancé. This is the first step to obtaining a K-1 non-immigrant visa for your fiancé. The K-1 non-immigrant visa is also known as the Fiancé visa. The second step after filing the K-1 visa is when the U.S. Embassy then transfers the approval to the foreigner's embassy, where then the embassy in the foreigner's country has to bring the foreigner in for an interview, where the foreigner must bring several documentations such as the approval of the K-1 visa, a copy of the submission of the K-1 visa, as well as their birth certificate, a passport that should have been taken 30 days prior to the interview, police records, as well as evidence of the relationship with the American. After this, the embassy in the foreigner's country will determine if the foreigner will be allowed to come to the United States, and if so, the foreigner and the American then have 90 days to get married. The total cost of the K-1 visa filing is anywhere from $850 to $1,010. After the couple is married, they then can file for a green card. So they can apply for a green card where both the American and the foreigner must go into for an interview where they are asked several questions about their relationship, which would determine if given the foreigner a green card. If the couple has been married for less than 2 years, the foreigner is given a permanent residence of status as well as a green card, which is valid for 2 years. They must go in every 2 years to renew it, and the total cost of the process is $2,325. In conclusion, 90 Day Fiancé honestly might just seem like another reality show, but it does bring a lot of informative information to both the audience as well as the people who travel to the country. The show is about many things such as seeking love, learning about an individual as well as their culture, and finally, the many laws and regulations they must go through to bring someone to the country here in America. All this being said, it really does bring me back to my beginning question, can love be found outside of another country? 90 Day Fiancé does answer that question many times, and based on every different couple, because all the couples that are shown in the show are always put to the test numerous times in many different ways, and it does show if love is stronger than distance. So because their relationship was established over the internet and they are only able to meet each other for a short period of time physically, it does in the long run put to the question if their love is strong enough to go through the many obstacles and challenges they must go through.